Well, hello everyone. Philosopher Stoner 666 here. Yes, not 666, not 666. I've been trying to think of a new name that I should change my channel to, and I'm still trying to figure out how the heck to change the name of my channel. I was thinking something like Antinatalist Philosopher Stoner, or maybe get rid of the whole Stoner and 666 thing completely, just be AN Philosopher or something like that, some junk like that. So yeah, this is my review video of the new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I'm not pronouncing his first name right, but hey, fuck it. So anyways, there might be spoilers ahead, I don't know. I'm gonna try not to spoil it, but anyway, here it goes. So I prefer Heath Ledger's Joker. Just gonna say that right off the bat. Heath Ledger's Joker is more of like a archetype kind of character, a conceptual character, more of a comic book villainy kind of character. He's not a villain that you would find in real life, like that whole scene in Heath Ledger's The Dark Knight, where he burns all the money and stuff. He was definitely a darker character, but like I said, in the sense of a comic book villain. This portrayal of the Joker is the portrayal of someone that's a legitimate schizoid or schizotypal personality, semi-schizophrenic, a legit story of someone that's mentally ill and what exactly breaks them and what exactly triggers them to do like a murder or whatever. So this portrayal is a more human, sympathetic character. And yeah, so the plot is fairly simple. He starts off being like this clown for this clown company. He gets abused and shit on basically his entire life. He's an orphan. He finds out that he's adopted, and it sort of pushes him over the edge. There's these guys, they're like spoiled rich kids in the subway, and he sort of snaps and he kills them, which then triggers like a whole movement of people that are like kill the rich and all this, and protesting and wearing clown masks that he is sort of inadvertently becomes the leader of. But the thing with the narrative that I found interesting was that because he's a schizotypal personality, is that you can question the narrative as to whether certain events actually happened or not. Like, you don't know if like, I suspect the one relationship that he has with a woman, I suspect that never actually really happened, and a few other events in the movie, so that the movie is worth rewatching to try and see, well, what part was real, what part wasn't real. It was exactly like the way a mentally ill person would view the world through all these delusions. So it's hard to really separate what's the truth from the fiction, which I found an interesting, like, it helped the plot. So anyways, so that's enough about that. Really, the movie is about this whole concept of nihilism. I'm going to stick with the first pronunciation, even though the second one is the proper pronunciation, because it's a bit pretentious. But yeah, definitely Heath Ledger's Joker was a example of an active nihilist, an ubermensch archetypal figure. This is just in general sort of nihilism of the phenomenon of the school shooter. Someone that gets bullied, abused, whatever, they snap for whatever reason, and then they kill people. And our society has a lot of this problem. It's a modern day malaise where you have someone that seems normal, and then they snap, and then they go on a school shooting spree, or they do something. And it's a very modern phenomenon that there's so much nihilism. I'll just say as a comment that a society that makes so many people feel redundant and worthless and suicidal, or they feel like killing people, is a society on the road to ruin. And that's definitely our society. In the movie, there's a part of it that I suspect is another one of these parts where it's a delusion in his head, where he's watching this popular, almost like a talk show host kind of guy, and they make a comment about the super rats in the city and all the garbage. So the movie sets up this sort of vibe of just nobody really cares anymore. They don't care about people. The society is just it's nobody gives a shit, really. And that's a modern phenomenon. What I think is that cities themselves, just they're simply being, create mental illness. And there's a lot of scenes in the film that juxtapose the city with the character, and that we're products of the environment. I think it shows very well. When you have a city where there's all garbage all over the place, all graffiti, all sorts of shit, it's really hard for people to care. And it was a good portrayal, a good throwback of what New York was like in the 70s. Just this crime-riddled, dirty, graffiti everywhere, garbage all over the place, nobody giving a shit, a real decline in values. So it's this real problem that we have to deal with of this whole nihilism thing, this non-recognition of value and rejecting the sort of value equation. Now, I use that word specifically. I'm going to link in the description box to a website that's all about nihilism. I got in with this sort of group, but they self-identified as such, and it's what I started off being. Sort of, I later had a falling out with this group, but anyways, yes, on this website, counterorder.org or .com or whatever. I'll link to it in the description. That'll give you the full lowdown of the whole problem of nihilism. But essentially, yeah, that's the problem. And I think the antidote for it is antinatalism. I think that nihilism's wrong. There is value. Consciousness creates this concept of value, and therefore, if value exists, we can demonstrate that we live in a kind of value equation. The existence of money really shows that. Although you could argue, okay, money is a fake thing, we made it up. Then there's fractional reserve banking and blah, 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 all sorts of stuff. I'm not saying that the system that we currently have with money is like the proper system, but it demonstrates this idea. Like, I will work doing a shitty job like security, and then I don't feel like cooking, so I'll go have someone else make me a meal and I pay for it. There's a value equation there, and we demonstrate it every day through money. We recognize there is a value equation here. And so therefore consciousness creates this value. There's this value equation. It means things are relevant. Life may be meaningless and life may be pointless and futile, feelings that are grappled with in this movie. That's a very real phenomenon. The meaning is not an egotistically grandiose sense of meaning. There's no sense of self-importance with this kind of meaning that I'm talking about. Life is meaningful in the sense that it is a value equation. So therefore it's relevant. It's the only relevant thing in the universe, consciousness, because consciousness is creating that value. And therefore it is a precious commodity. Suffering means something. A lot of the modern day atheists and atheist thinkers and nihilists and stuff want to make it seem like you're not relevant and that the whole phenomenon itself is irrelevant, which again, you are relevant, and it is relevant in the context of a value equation is occurring and nothing else. So as I've said, it is all pointless and futile and meaningless in the sense of your ego, but it isn't meaningless in the sense that it's not relevant. It's the most relevant thing there is, really. So I think that's the antidote to nihilism, and then recognizing life is very problematic. I found the movie to be almost like a Greek tragedy, where it's this actor, he couldn't help being what he was. It was like the dominoes fell in the right place, and he got caught up, and he eventually snapped. And like I said, a Greek tragedy, an unfortunate series of events that led him to be what he was. And there's no real solution for it. And like I said, I would argue that the solution is antinatalism, recognizing that there is value, that, your egotistically grandiose notions in your head are just that. And that's the antidote to it. Don't bring any more people onto this planet to suffer in the same way, to be mentally ill, to have the same sort of thing happen to them. Now, my last 2 points are, I read an article online by woman, a PhD that works at Cornell University and another university. I forget her name off the top of my head, but it was an article that I read, almost like a review of the Joker before I went and saw the movie. And she said that the movie was a very accurate portrayal of someone that is mentally ill, their upbringing, and the things that can trigger them to eventually murder someone. She says she's going to use clips from this film to sort of demonstrate in her classes about these types of mental illnesses. So I think it did a good job with that. What was my second point? Another post by a guy on Facebook. I won't reveal his name, but he talked about the film being sort of an example of dark feminine energy. And he is a conservative. I would call him a Christian antinatalist. And just what he said, it's being dark feminine energy. It's this problem of, we think that the Joker is this portrayal of a masculine kind of figure, when it's the opposite. He is a masculine figure, but with this heavy-duty feminine energy to him that sort of distorts everything. And again, I'm badly paraphrasing here. I can't look at my phone at the same time and read the text of what he says, but I might post it in the description box, just for laughs. And so anyways, like I said, it's a good movie. It's worth a rewatch to sort of try to understand the narrative a little bit better, to figure out what was delusion and what was not delusion. So I'll definitely be watching it again. But I'd have to say that I preferred Heath Ledger's Joker better. Again, just personal preference. And I guess that's it. Not much of a video, but I didn't force you to watch it. Meh. Anyway, Philosopher Stoner, not 666 out.